It's like it's not even real. It's like is this real? And it is.
I mean, it's a goose. It's a felony. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. They're stealing the American dream.
Illegals. Not. Let's be clear. They're illegal. They're criminals. As soon as they cross the border illegally, that makes them a criminal. So don't let anyone tell you any different. Now, does it mean they're all
Stealing
bad
the
people?
American dream.
No, it doesn't.
Can you pause your video in the background?
What's that? Let's be clear.
Oh, it was my video. Never mind. We're good.
It's you this time.
Yep.
It was me last time.
We're gonna trade.
No, don't let the mainstream media fool you. As soon as they cross the border illegally, they're a criminal. They've broken the law. It is against the law to come into this country illegally. There's legal ways to do it, and people who come in legally, it's highly encouraged. I want people to come in illegally because it means they're going to be vetted, they're going to be checked, going to make sure they're not murderers and rapists and everything else, and terrorists or whatever, drug cartels, human traffickers. All these people are just getting free reign to cross our border right now. And they're stealing the American dream from Americans who are here either naturally or have earned the right to become Americans by going through the process legally. So that's what we're talking about today. There's a lot of it's not as bad as people portray it to be, or it's not real. Like there's not a lot of people coming across, or it's not a big deal. We're gonna break it down. That's what we do here on Cash and Capital. We're gonna break it down. We get a bunch of data. We get a bunch of stories, uh, real reports from real people, and we're just gonna tell you how it is, and then you can make your own informed decision. Marcel, how are you today?
All is well, my friend. Thanks for joining me, Aaron. Thanks everybody for being here with us as well. We think this is a really important topic, mainly because, like Aaron was saying, there's too many people here that, just in general, that seem to forget that every single person who crossed the border is already considered a criminal because they have done so illegally. But on top of that, the ones that actually have committed many felonies and misdemeanors already is absolutely insane. We just got these numbers from ICE. Aaron, you got those? You got that by chance here? We had that posted up as the actual thumbnail. But we're looking at out of the 10 million people that are documented to have been illegally crossing the border, over 5% of them are actually illegal immigrants. and that's a lot. You know, that's 1 out of every 20 is 5% of the illegal immigrants are felons.
And here's the thing: the craziest part about it is that's literally just the ones we know about.
Correct. Illegal immigrants.
How many do we not know about? Here's some numbers. I'm just going to throw a shitload of numbers at you. It's up on the screen. Um, just in, the Biden Harris administration has released 425,431 illegal immigrants into the United States who are confirmed convicted criminals. ICE, which
Wow.
is Immigration and Customs Enforcement, report reveals. Now, here's the list and how many of each type of crime: 2,521 convicted kidnappers, 13,099 convicted murderers. Murderers, 13,000 of them came across the border and are in just free to roam free in our country right now. 14,301 convicted of burglary, 15,811 convicted of sexual assault, 56,533 with drug convictions, 62,231 convicted of assault, and an additional
Oh man.
222,141 with pending criminal charges. So even more. That's 425,431 total convicted criminals. That's just the ones that Immigration Customs Enforcement, ICE, knows about and has processed and still allowed into our country. They process them, they're still allowed in. You can't tell me it's not on purpose. You can't.
This
You
also
cannot convince me.
this also doesn't include, Aaron. We got to keep in mind everyone that has been flown into the country. So out of all the people, this is only the people that have been actually stopped at the border in one way or the other. So people crossing from Mexico to the United States illegally. It doesn't include the millions of people that have been flown into the United States by the Biden Harris administration via airplane. And these
It's
numbers are astronomical.
crazy numbers. It's crazy numbers. And literally almost every other day, we're seeing another report of an illegal who has killed somebody or has raped somebody or has assaulted somebody or broken into somebody's house or all of these things. It's happening all the time. And there's reports of it constantly. Like this, here's a in Springfield where there's no Haitians, according to the news, there's no Haitians there
No,
causing
none at all.
trouble. But here's a drunk Haitian driver arrested after he slammed into a Springfield resident, an illegal. And of course, they call them, the undocumented migrants. No, it's an illegal alien. Like, don't let anyone bully you into not using the correct language. That's the thing we get beat up on everything is, oh, well, you can't say illegal immigrant, you must say that they are undocumented migrant workers who are just looking for some food. Like, they try to soften everything up so it doesn't sound bad. No, they're illegal immigrants. It's against the law for them to be here. What other country on planet Earth is like, oh shit, we're just going to have open borders, everybody come on in, take all our stuff, blow our things up, kill people, we don't care, whatever. Like, literally, you look at like Poland, they got the military down there. They got miles of barbed wire and military, and if you cross that border without coming through legally, they will shoot you. Like, they will shoot you because you are coming into the country illegally. And they've been told to come here, and they know it's wide open, and they know they're going to get a whole bunch of free stuff, and it's on our dime. We're the ones paying for it. Meanwhile, we have homeless vets. We have, our own citizens who are here legally, that could have used that help instead. And I think the number was, and Marcel, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't it like $600 billion to pay for the migrants for a year in the budget or something like that
Yeah,
to cover everything?
the estimates that we've gotten from the United States government are that the cost per year, at least should I say, at least this year alone, of the basically of supporting the migrants ranges between 300 billion up to 650 billion dollars in a single year. And all of this is in a direct relation and a counter to the fact that the Democratic Party, Biden, Harris specifically, refused to spend the $6 billion to complete Biden's border wall. The $6 billion to complete the Trump border wall. The border wall would have obviously alleviated a big portion of this, and they also undid dozens and dozens of the Donald Trump executive orders that made it illegal for people to cross into the country. Biden and
Yeah, right
Harris
on day one.
on day one, literally the first day in office. And of course, Kamala Harris is the border czar, appointed by Joseph Biden himself. And it is her job, and she has all the power to do these things, to stop these things. But they purposely have opened up the border, and now we've got this influx of people. What's the date on this post? Because we're seeing these every single day with this Haitian right here. What day was this posted?
This one was
Day
what,
before
yesterday?
yesterday.
No, 2 days ago. Yep,
Yeah, literally the day before
Thursday.
yesterday. Just another post, another report. And we're seeing videos of people in Springfield, Ohio, telling us that their car insurance rates have tripled, gone up
Oh,
300% on their latest renewal because of the vast number of illegal migrants. So for people to say that it's not affecting them, that they should just be allowed, that illegal immigrants should be able to come in and do whatever they want and get free handouts from the government, on our dime, of course, because it creates inflation when the government prints $650 billion a year to give to illegal immigrants. It affects you negatively in the value of the actual US dollar, in the sense that your money is worth less. And on top of that, it's also directly impacting you every single day when simple things such as your property, your homeowner's insurance, your rental insurance, and your automobile insurance are skyrocketing in rates because of increased theft of personal property and homes, increased theft of apartment units. You guys have all seen what's going on with the Venezuelan gang Tren de Agua in cities like Dallas and Denver, Colorado, and many others. And also your automobile rates, because automobiles are being smashed into at no fault of your own, increasing your auto rates by 300%, just in a matter of a few months. And that's not something that's going to turn around and start to decrease. Those numbers are going to continue to increase exponentially higher. What do you got here? I see these illegals are going to the port of entry.
yep. Here, this is a post. Let's see. I think this was a couple of days ago as well. Actually, this was the 23rd. Illegals are going directly to a port of entry, like here at Lukeville, Arizona, and are bused to processing centers where they are then released into the U.S. with court dates many years down the line. During that period, they get free everything paid for by you. And when we say free everything, it's honestly most middle class, like regular citizens here would be like, "Holy shit, this is great! I got money, I got food, my insurance, I got a place to stay." Like they literally cover everything for them, and we're paying for it. We are paying every penny for it. They live in these nice, beautiful hotels in New York and Chicago and wherever else they're busing them. Don't you think it's weird? Think about this for a second. For those of you who like know geography even just a little bit, think about where Springfield, Ohio is, and then think about where our border is. And then think about 20,000 Haitians went from the border to Ohio. How the hell did they get there? Do you think it's just magic? Like that, we're not in Stargate, by the way. This is not the Stargate television show. They don't just walk through a Stargate and magically appear in Springfield, Ohio, and it's the promised land. No, they got bused there. They got flown there. Like they literally get transported there. Now, why would they get transported to certain places? Think about that for a moment. The whole argument that we're not allowing illegals into the country, for voting purposes and everything. There's two reasons why. One, the sense that they're being busted to Democrat centers, to areas that are heavily blue. Now, why are they going to areas that are heavily blue? Two reasons. One, because the census counts all people, regardless of citizenship, for how many people live in a certain area, state, a city, a county, anything like that. Now, those numbers determine how many electoral votes a particular state is worth. They also determine how many seats you get in the House of Representatives. So the more population you have, the more seats you have in the House of
That's
Representatives.
right.
So that's the first part. Now the second part is, oh no, no, they're not bringing these people in to vote. They can't vote. They're undocumented migrant people looking for a meal. My goodness, those poor people. Oh, it's so terrible. And then literally a week later, it's like, oh, we got to have amnesty for all these illegals, like all of them. They all need to just instantly become citizens. Well, what happens when they become citizens? They can all vote all of a sudden. And now they've all been planted exactly where they want them in these strongholds, these Democrat strongholds, basically. So it's happening. It's happening. Everything we've said about why the illegals are coming in, and the third part is discord. Um, the illegals are causing discord. They're causing trouble. They're killing people. They're raping people. They're hurting people. They're stealing. They're crashing into cars. They're causing damage. They're taking jobs. They're taking away, benefits for people that could use them, like vets or disabled and things like that. Money that could be going to, like, our own homeless population of people could have been completely. Think about this for a second. $600 billion with a B. That money, if we had taken that money and said, you know what? We're going to build housing for every homeless person in the United States, we could have done it. Literally, there could be zero homeless today. Instead, we're using it to cover
Yep.
these illegal immigrants.
And it would have money left over on top of that.
Yep.
We
Oh
would
yeah,
have money
600
left
billion
over,
is
which is absolutely ridiculous when you think about it. A lot of people still don't know about Itin mortgages. And I want to bring this up because it's really important. If you don't mind throwing that receipt up, I think it's time to show people the actual receipts. But I want to talk about Itin mortgages. As a former real estate broker, this is something that I'm very familiar with, Aaron. And the way that it works, illegal immigrants right now are able to get a mortgage without any proof of citizenship, because that's not required in this country. They're also able to get a mortgage without any proof of income. They're able to get a mortgage without any proof of work history. Illegal migrants are able to get a mortgage without having to go through any of the background checks that American citizens have to go through. With an ITIN mortgage, ITIN, for those of you that are unable to understand what I'm saying, an ITIN number is a number that is given to illegal immigrants when they come into this country by the federal government. You and I have social security numbers. They don't. They get ITIN numbers. And with these ITIN numbers, when they apply for a mortgage, they don't need any of the background checks, any of the work verifications, any of the credit checks, any of the down payments, because the government is giving them the money for the down payments. It is excusing them from having to pay a down payment and closing costs.
I'd like to correct one thing.
Go ahead.
It's not the government that's giving them the money, it's us.
That's true. The government is giving them our taxpayer dollars. Your
Right.
your money, your kids, your parents, your grandparents, all of our money is going to them, and we have to pay for it in an invisible tax called inflation. And that devalues the amounts of worth of your dollar, and it literally gives these people the ability to buy homes that American citizens cannot afford. This is the reality of being an illegal immigrant in this country under Biden and Harris. This is the reason that they're voting for Democrats, because they do not care how many hundreds of thousands, actually millions of felons are in this country, criminals are in this country, because all they care about is getting that government handout, getting that check. This receipt here that we posted up on August 1st has over 6 million views already. As you guys can see, even Elon Musk himself was shocked and just said, he had no words. All he could say was, wow. And the fact of the matter is that, you know, you may not be able to read Spanish, but this is in Spanish. And you can see here, I'll read it in English. An illegal migrant from Venezuela left her receipt at the grocery store, and the cashier took a photo. The EBT food stamp balance on this is $13,401.82. The EBT cash balance on this receipt is $4,498.85. The reason these are shown is because when you receive a government food stamps in the form of a link card or an EBT food stamp card or an EBT cash assistance card through the cash assistance program, they are shown on the receipt so that every time you make a purchase at the grocery store, it shows you how much balance is left for you to use on your food stamps or for you to use on your cash balance. So this person went in and spent $24 on a few things here at the grocery store and has $13,500 in a food stamp balance left over. AW says, I want my money back in the chat. And Queen Bee says these numbers are staggering. And I could not agree with you more. Lion of All Trades says, this is insanity, and it was all set up for damn sure. I think we can all agree to that, right, Aaron?
Oh, for sure. I got over on Rumble, we got AD Marcelino saying, and for them to be handed everything without earning it, what about our people?
Yes, that's it.
It's
How
so
hard have you guys
insane what
worked?
Americans are on the streets. Yeah, it's and she's saying, while me, 33 years old, American citizen, 600 plus credit, and she can't buy a home.
That
You know,
sucks.
so
That's terrible. You know, and it's
the American dream is you know, the Bruce Springsteen, you know, the white picket fence, you know, the
mm-hmm.
little pink houses, you know, all that. Of course, that song is about something totally different. The American dream is having the home with the white picket fence and the 2.5 kids and the dog in the yard and whatever. And
Yeah.
even people who work hard, really hard, with multiple incomes in a household, um, can't do it. That's the crazy part. Is, you know, you have two income earners in a house, and even they can't make it happen. Uh,
It's a
the land
disgrace.
before Heim says, I might have to start self-identifying as an immigrant, reclaim some of my stolen tax money. Well, there you go. See, there's a solution. Go to Mexico, and if you survive the process, just cross illegally back in the United States and be like, no comprende at the border, and like, here's your food stamps and your money and whatever. I guess I don't know. It's
It's wild.
isn't it crazy? It's so crazy to think about. Someone can come into the country and get all of this free. Meanwhile, our own citizens don't even get a small fraction of it.
Right. Right.
I mean, fraction. That's a crazy.
And that would be
It's
easily
crazy.
done, by the way. It would be extremely easy, and I'm sure some people have already done it, to literally spend $150, $200 to fly to Mexico, you know, somewhere like Juarez, right on the other side of the border, and just walk yourself right on in. Take a taxi, take an Uber right to the border, have them drop you off right there, and walk right over to the border and tell them, I'm a migrant, right? You wouldn't say illegal, even though obviously you are. You say, I'm a migrant, I'm a refugee, and I need assistance. My name is whatever, Juan Carlos Villanueva, whatever the hell kind of fake name you want to make up. They'll bring you
My name
in.
is Pablo Escobar.
Yeah, Pablo
I need
Escobar. And they'll give you one of these, they'll
Yep.
give you all of the resources you need to immediately get you set up with housing and a cell phone and health care and food and cash assistance. This is something that's absolutely too easy to do. And I wouldn't be shocked to see if a lot of people are actually doing it, because you're not getting these as an American citizen. And it's almost impossible to get them but you have to be an illegal immigrant to get them, to receive these packages.
Yeah, it's definitely not right. It's definitely. I mean,
And she
it
came
blows
over
my
here to say
mind.
hi, Aaron. I just want to peep in. But
Oh,
when I see these numbers, say hi. When I see these numbers,
hi.
I think to myself, how much is my daughter and the rest of my family going to have to pay because of this? Maybe long
Yeah,
after I've passed. You know, she's going to be left footing this bill for these illegal immigrants. Meanwhile, my family, Aaron's family, your family's watching this, have paid into the system for our entire lives. Social Security, Medicare, property taxes, sales taxes, income taxes, realized capital gains taxes, and so on. If I named them all, you guys would just leave out of boredom because there's so many.
we're being robbed. We're being stolen from.
Yeah.
The piggy bank that we've put into our entire lives, that's supposed to go to us, that's supposed to go to our citizens, is being stolen from us. It's literally being stolen from us. Money that should be for us as citizens and improving our country and helping people that are citizens here, legal citizens, whether through natural means or through the process. Like, that money is literally being stolen away from us in two ways. One by robbing Social Security and everything else, and the other part is through inflation by making our dollars worth less and printing all this extra money. Again, think about that. $600 billion could absolutely completely cure the homeless situation in our country for our legal citizens. Literally, there would be zero people on the street. But guess what? They don't want that.
I was
They
actually,
don't want that.
sorry, man. I was watching a YouTuber yesterday, and he was playing a video game called City Skylines. If you've never heard of it, it's kind of like Sim City, right? You set up your city
Mhm.
and you build it from there. And he literally had artificial intelligence give him instructions on how to most profitably build a city like Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And it was literally the play by play of what we're seeing right now. Prioritize the rich, give minimal access to the middle class and the wealth and the poor, and give welfare to illegal immigrants and people that are coming into the city and better jobs for them, and greatly reduce the services to the middle class and the poor in the terms of schools, education, fire services, medical services, and police services. Houses
Yep.
were burning down. The police weren't showing up. The firefighters weren't showing up in the poor areas. But the upper class, the wealthy areas, they were thriving. They were doing great.
Oh
They
yeah, they do.
and it
Yeah.
literally, the AI was telling him to segregate the rich areas from the middle class and the poor areas. And the things that it was telling him to do seemed like exactly what we're currently seeing right now from the Biden Harris administration to a T. It was astounding. Honestly, it was pretty scary, man. It was pretty scary to see that AI was able to tell him with such accuracy.
It's it's crazy, really, that um, it really does, unfortunately, kind of work that way. It really does. Like you see, like the 1% profit off of making pretty much everybody else suffer. Um, it's interesting though that moving all these migrants to certain places is okay, but in other places it's not. I don't know if you knew this, uh, but you can't move migrants to Martha's Vineyard. They don't like that.
Are you
This
kidding
was a
me?
while ago. Martha's Vineyard's residents said there was absolutely no way they could sustain 50 migrants that were flown in. but a small city in the middle of Ohio is supposed to accommodate 20,000 migrants that are bussed in. The people at Martha's Vineyard literally said, get them out because we absolutely cannot accommodate just 50 of them. Celebrities who live there are silent. But John Legend, is lecturing the hard-working people of Springfield, Ohio. Um, let me just see.
Let's play that video, brother.
The difficult challenges are we have to, at some point in time they have to move somewhere else. Right? We don't have the services to take care of 50 immigrants, and we certainly don't have housing. We're in a housing crisis as we are on this island.
Yeah, they're really hurting. Look at the housing crisis they have right now. Oh, it's terrible.
Oh no, they could
by
not
the way,
house.
these
You
are
could
the
house
people,
50 people in there in that one home alone. Look at that. You could easily
these
put
are the
50
people
in there.
fighting for having the migrants come in.
Unreal.
Just throwing it out there. It's a housing crisis. It's really tough. They couldn't handle 50 migrants. You know what the truth is.
And so that we can't house everyone here that lives here and works here. We don't have housing for 50
We can't house everyone here that lives here and works here. You know what, though?
It's ludicrous.
I bet you if a couple of those big old mansions needed a few extra gardeners, and I bet you they'd find room for them, wouldn't they?
They would have to live in the shack, behind the house. They couldn't live in the big house. Legalized slavery once again.
Yep. That's the other part
People
of
are getting paid,
And
but they're wage slaves now. That's really the only difference.
it is. Well, because they get everything for free. They get their housing for free. They get the millions, and the food stamps is crazy. I can't believe how much food stamps they get. And they get, absolutely free medical care with no qualifications. Now here's the thing. A lot of people get free medical care who are on disability or things like that, okay? A lot of people who are, low income get free medical care. There's a lot of different ways to do that. And that's fine. Those people can use that, and it's helpful. But these guys can work full time, bring that check in, and still get all these benefits. So they're willing to work for just a small amount of money, 24,000 a year or whatever, and be totally happy with that because they don't have any expenses. They don't have any expenses. And
they can do that for 3
those
years as well. 36 months.
3 years.
They get everything paid for by the government. Not just a short while.
So Marcel, this is only happening in big cities, right?
Of course, yeah, of course it's only happening in big cities. It would never happen in, red states or in small cities like Martha's Vineyard, But what about the rest of the middle class cities around the United States? What about the rest of the red cities that are trying to be turned blue? What's going on in Maine?
How about Maine, where I live?
The literal farthest place away from the border that you can possibly get.
Literally. Except for Alaska.
Literally
the farthest away. We're literally the farthest away. So let me read this, and then there's a little video here. This is in Maine. They're building new apartment buildings to house illegals for free. Meanwhile, American citizens are struggling to pay rent. We have AD Marcelino in chat over here is saying struggle to even find an apartment, has to live with an ex-boyfriend just to avoid being homeless. Now, imagine that situation. You broke up with the boyfriend, and then you have to live with them just because you don't want to be homeless and there's no option. So is there any doubt at this point that the Democrats hate the actual citizens of this country? So here's the video.
Sorry you're going through that, my friend.
They just built 60 new apartment complexes in Maine for migrants for free housing. Free housing, bro, for migrants in areas where there are already housing crises where people cannot find housing like apartments and affordable housing. So the people who already live here are already struggling to find apartments. And then they're like, let's build 60 new apartment complexes just for the migrants, and it'll be free. Please make it make sense. Why are we doing this shit? Why are we not building this shit for the people that already live here?
I think that's
I
what
believe we've talked about
that's what everybody's asking themselves, right, Aaron? What about the Americans that have paid for their entire lives that deserve to be helped when they need the help the most?
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
Well, it does, though. It only makes perfect sense when you realize that they're importing voters, that they are giving jobs that pay significantly less, part-time jobs, to these illegal immigrants in order to replace the voters that were once Democrats, that are now or that were once liberal, or that were once independents, that are now voting Republican because they're so scared for their own livelihood and their future and their family's future that they've been pushed into the other political party, even though their views have not changed. Even myself, Aaron, I've said this before. In 2016, I voted for Bernie Sanders. For Bernie Sanders. In 2020, I refused to vote at all. But this year, you can bet your ass that I'm voting for Donald Trump, and my views have not changed. I still believe that the American people should receive the help when they need it. But that doesn't mean that I'm willing to give all of our jobs and our homes and the American dream away to illegal immigrants that have done nothing to contribute to our society, that have done nothing but commit crimes in their own countries, to the point where 500,000 out of the 10 million people, that's 5% of all the illegal migrants that were actually counted crossing the border. That's 10 million that were counted. Imagine all the ones that were not counted. The border is absolutely massive. People underestimate the size of the border here in the United States. It spans California, Arizona, Texas, thousands and thousands of miles. There are easily triple the amount of people that have gotten through without encountering Border Patrol that are not counted in those 10 million people. And again, out of the 10 million that were, we received the reports from ICE showing us, if you don't mind putting that up one more time, Aaron, ICE showing us that for every 20 people that come into the United States, out of those 10 million, 1 out of every 20 is a convicted criminal. Not even accounting for the fact that every single one of those people that has come across the border is already a criminal for crossing the border illegally. But they've actually been convicted of things like murder, kidnap, burglary, assaults, the R word, right? Convictions for various things, and have pending criminal charges. And Patty is here in the chat, says, please call them by their proper name. Illegal aliens. They're not migrants. Well, you're right on that, my friend. They're illegal immigrants. They're illegal aliens. And that's what they've always been called. And now they're being called migrants by the Biden administration. They're being called refugees, so that you feel bad for these people and want to give them your handouts.
They want you to abandon logic and make decisions using emotion. They want you to abandon this is why when you look at this and you say, make it make sense, like it does not make sense. That's the logical part of your brain saying, these things don't add up. It shouldn't be like this. That's the logic circuits in your brain saying, hey, 1 + 1 = 2. It doesn't equal 7. Like it doesn't. That's wrong. That's wrong. Like that's wrong. Your brain is telling you that. But then emotion kicks in. Like that's why they change the names. That's why if you don't say undocumented migrants who's looking for food, oh my, like, okay, I feel bad for people who have it rough. I do. I get that. Come in legally. Come in legally. Don't come in illegally because you're breaking the law as soon as you cross over. And they do this, they play this word salad game to make you feel bad about it. And again, they're stealing the American dream. You know, another place that's stealing the American dream, Marcel, is Wall Street. And that brings us to our sponsor, which is Lit Exchange. Lit Exchange is a new exchange that Marcel is working on building up. And what it will do is help us and our future generations actually working towards a fair market and trades that actually like get routed to the Lit Exchange. And if you'd like to talk briefly about what that means and how that helps us, I think everybody would really like to know.
I'm just going to say one thing, 10 seconds. Trading on commission-free brokers is literally costing you more than paying a few pennies for every trade. That's why Robinhood had to pay $65 million when sued by the Securities Exchange Commission. And they found that retail investors lost over $34 million more, even accounting for not having to pay a commission because of the poor execution quality. That's all I got to say.
It's really simple. Lit Exchange, which is Lit Exchange, no E, LITXCHANGE.app, litexchange.app. Go there, check it out, read about it, look into it. There is an opportunity to invest in the early foundation of this. It is for us, by us. Okay, so Marcel and everybody that's working on this is not beholden to Wall Street because guess what? He didn't go to Wall Street for the funding for this. He could have easily, Marcel. You could have easily gone to Wall Street and been like, "Hey, look, I'm making this thing, and we're going to be, for the apes and the regular retail people,
That's
we need
what
money to
Robinhood
get
did.
funded."
They went to
Yeah,
Sequoia
they're going to be like, "Oh
Capital.
yeah, great,
They got a ton of cash,
beautiful.
and now they have to
Here's a
scratch their
shitload of
back.
cash."
They have to scratch
That's
their
right.
back every time. But that's not the point here. The point is to give retail investors the ability to own the company so that we can obviously look out for their best interest without a conflict of interest, which is what you're seeing right now. So thanks very much for
That's it,
bringing it up,
exactly.
Aaron. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Yodi in the chat says it's for us, by us, and that's absolutely true, my friend. I don't have
Right.
experience owning a stock brokerage firm, for example, but I have many, many years experience as a broker. I am a former real estate broker. I own a freight brokerage firm, and stock brokerage is no different than buying and selling homes. It's no different than buying and selling the freight shipments. It's the simple, exact same thing. It's just acting as an intermediary there between the buyer and the seller of a stock or crypto. And we can easily make that justifiably fair for the retail investor without routing the orders through a dark pool, because they are the number one form of market manipulation today. But
That's it.
back to the
That's it. I encourage
subject.
everybody.
Thank you, my brother. Back to the subject at hand here. 15.8 thousand people convicted of assault against women and children. 13,000 people convicted of homicide. 62,000 convicted of violent assaults. You think they're going to stop, Aaron, just because they've come to the United States?
Once you cross the border, all negative thoughts just leave your brain. That's what the American dream is, right? You just become this wholesome, good, uh, just a saintly, uh, never sinning, never breaking any laws. You're absolutely. I mean, it wasn't like you were crossing the border illegally or anything. I mean, that's not breaking any laws. So why? It's happening every day. People are getting. Matter of fact, I have one I'd like to show.
Oh,
Here's
yes,
what they
please
think
do.
of us. Here is what they think of us. Um, this was back in February, so this is not recent either. This has been happening ever since the Biden Harris took charge. Illegal immigrants who attacked a New York police officer flip off the media as they walk free with no bail in New York City.
Just into Fox News now, NYPD making 2 more arrests, illegal immigrants And that attack on officers, those suspects also allegedly stole an officer's cell phone. Well,
This is
that'll
what
help
they
them
think
track
of
you
you.
down. So, a fifth illegal immigrant accused of attacking 2 New York City police officers over the weekend showed no remorse or regret. He was seen, as you can see, giving his 2 middle fingers to the cameras moments after being released without bail. Florida Senator Marco Rubio wrote, "Message to America from one of the illegal immigrants who assaulted NYPD officers, walked free with no bail, and heads back to a shelter funded by taxpayers." So far, police have shared 4 mugshots of the now 7 people arrested in connection with the brutal beatings in Times Square. Just into Fox News now, NYPD.
So let me ask you a quick question, Marcel.
Unreal.
If you or I beat the shit out of a New York City police officer, do you think we'd get out with no bail?
Man, look at the January 6th
Yeah,
prisoners right now.
yeah, they
Just look
walking
at 'em.
around. Oh, didn't even cross over the velvet ropes, most of them, and took pictures, and they went to jail for years.
Yeah, there's
Like
more than a few people. There's many people right now that have been in jail for 3-4 years in solitary confinement with no court cases, with no scheduled court case. 3 to 4 years just sitting in a prison, rotting away. Some of them didn't even enter the building. They were just outside in front of the Capitol. When it first happened, I was shocked. I was seeing it on the news, and I was like, look at these people. They have no respect for the law. They have no respect for America or for our government. But then as time went on, as I started to learn the real story of what happened, the real fact of, wait, these people weren't violent. They didn't go in there and destroy the place. They didn't hurt anybody. The only ones that got hurt were the actual protesters that were, for example, Ashley Babbitt, who was killed at the hands of some of the heavy-handed police officers there, wrongfully killed at that, and there is now a scheduled lawsuit against the federal government and the police department for her death, which is going to be coming in the following months. But you're absolutely right, my friend.
It's crazy. It is absolutely crazy. There is no way we would walk out with no bail. I'm just telling you right now.
Anything?
There is no way.
It's not going to happen.
Police officer. There's no way we could walk out, and it's a joke to them. It's a big joke to them. They're laughing. They think it's a great because they know they're going to get away with it. They're going to get away with it, and this is the other part of the district attorneys and things like that. Just being so easy on crime, they're enabling this behavior. They're absolutely enabling, and I think that's maybe a good topic for a whole nother podcast. Is the defunding of police and the effect that has, and how there's stores like in California. You can I don't know if you knew this, but in California you can walk into a store, literally shoplift $949 worth of stuff, walk out the door, and they cannot prosecute you.
Correct.
That's mental to me. But it's just a symptom of the disease. This is just another symptom of the disease. Here we go. This wake up Dems. They get free rent, health care, and work for $24,000 per year. Why would you vote for them like in Maine? What if we get another pandemic and you refuse to get the jab? Will the illegal get your job? Illegals are a guaranteed vote for them with no blowback and no questioning. And it's the average salary in Maine is $74,000. Entry level positions start at $42,900 a year. Well, most experienced workers make $127,000. First off, I'd like to know where the hell those jobs are in Maine. Those numbers do not seem right to me. But just moving on, illegals will work for $24,000 a year. Legal Americans work for $42,900 a year. Who are they going to hire?
It's easy to work for $24,000 a year when your housing is paid for, your health care is paid for, your automobile and your car is paid for, your food is paid for, and so on, right? Your cell phone and your internet are free, thanks to taxpayer subsidies that the federal government is forcing the states to give to these people.
It's legal slavery.
Not to mention,
Which, by the way,
they
if you
could buy
don't
a
know,
house.
the Democrat Party, the Democrats are the ones who were about slavery. And Lincoln was a Republican, and the Republican Party was built on freeing the slaves, like literally built on that. So the whole oh, Republicans are racist and we just want slavery and all this. Look, like, open your eyes and look at what the Democrats are doing. They want legal slavery, and they want us to pay for it.
I'm not fucking paying. I'm not paying.
No. Wow. Yeah, it's crazy. It is absolutely crazy. Wow. Can't that's just again, is it even real? Like, I feel like I say that on every one of our podcasts lately. And I say it outside, like in real life. Like, I turn to my wife, I don't know how many times, and I go, is this real? Like, is this really happening right now? It just doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense. And again, that's the logic part of my brain saying something doesn't make sense.
I want to pull this up real quick here. Here's the proof that the number of illegal aliens is higher now than it's ever been before. This is obviously Elon Musk quote tweeting a post by Kamala Harris here where she said, "Strengthening our border is not new to me, and it is a long-standing priority of mine. I have done that work." And as you can see here, from the actual chart itself, the number of illegal alien encounters on the border were extremely low under Donald Trump, even less than they were under Obama. With the exception of a small period in 2019, before Donald Trump implemented some of these final reforms that, as you guys can see, made it plummet to all-time low illegal alien encounters of gotaways from imputed from yearly data here. These are encounters and gotaways, both, from 2012 to 2024. And the chart here, immediately after Biden took office, when Harris, the border czar, undid all of the programs that Trump implemented to keep illegal immigrants outside of our country from coming in. They just skyrocketed, and they have reached literal all-time highs because there is more incentive than ever. They are getting handouts in every which way. This is the replacement of the Americans. You are no longer going to be able to achieve the American dream ever again in the future if we don't do the right thing here and keep an eye out for Americans that are in this country that have paid their way, that have paid their dues, that have paid their taxes and worked hard to contribute to society. All of this in purple, we're not talking about just a pretty chart or a graph. We're talking about tens of millions of people receiving hundreds of billions of dollars every year that belong to us, that belong to you and your children and your parents and grandparents.
You know what's interesting? Look at that chart, and then look at the chart I just brought up. It's a chart we talked about last week. And isn't that odd how we get all these illegal aliens come into our country and our inflation goes up too? Isn't that weird? I wonder if there's a correlation there.
Right. And it's the exact same looking chart as the last one. The lows in May 2020 with illegal immigrants being at the all-time lows and inflation being at, all-time lows that we have not seen in many, many decades, if not an entire century. And of course, in 2021, along with the illegal immigrants influx came a massive inflation. People keep asking, I've seen a lot of people ask, Aaron, if inflation is down, why aren't prices down? Maybe you can answer this for people, because I'm getting tired of saying it myself. If inflation is down, why aren't the prices coming down, Aaron? Explain it to me now.
Because Inflation, whether you want it or not, is a permanent fixture. Inflation, for prices to go down, you see how this is the inflation chart, okay? And you see the 1.4%, 4.2. These are all positive percents. You would need inflation to go negative
You
in
mean
order to drop
deflation?
prices. Deflation.
Mm.
You would need negative numbers here, which the only way that's going to happen is if they take American currency and throw it in the furnace. I'm going to tell you right now, Federal Reserve is probably never going to do that. So that's why a candy bar was a nickel for my grandfather, 25 cents when I was a kid, and $3 now. It is
Yeah.
exponential and it is compounding.
We have lost 97% of all value of the US dollar since its implementation. 97%. Meanwhile, 100 years ago, 100 years ago, you could buy a house with 10 gold bars. And today, 100 years later, even though the US dollar has lost 97% of its value, you can buy a house with 10 gold bars. Does that make sense? Is that starting to are you starting to understand what the importance here of precious metals such as silver and gold truly is?
Yep.
Even though housing has
Silver and gold
increased
is crucial.
thousands of percentage points. Yeah, housing has increased. That same house, for example, 100 years ago, a home might be $5,000. And today, that exact same home or similar, obviously just newer, would be at least $500,000 because the median home price in the United States now, due to the ridiculous inflation and artificial bubble that we're seeing in real estate as well as other asset classes, the median home price is around $430,000, which is unattainable to the average American. But you know who can get them? Illegal aliens, because they don't require credit checks for Itin mortgages. They don't require background checks for Itin mortgages. They don't require work verification history for Itin mortgages. They don't require down payments for Itin mortgages. The government and the banks don't require down payments for closing costs for Itin mortgages. And they are waiving closing costs for Itin mortgages for illegal aliens. And because we are giving them tens of thousands of dollars each, they're able to afford these homes, even though they're only making $24,000, stealing your job, doing it for a fraction of what you used to
Stealing
do
your
it
dream.
for.
They're getting the home that if you don't have a home, they're getting the home that you should have.
Yeah,
They're getting
because
the home that you should have.
they're
You
getting
should
it
have access to.
subsidized by the government. And the only ones that can afford homes now, for example, are the wealthy individuals in America, BlackRock, Blackstone, and, of course, illegal aliens that are receiving tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in free government handouts. That money belongs to you, to your kids and your family. And you have to pay for it every single day of your life.
These sound like very risky mortgages, don't they?
Oh,
No credit
incredibly,
check. So let
incredibly.
riddle me this. What happened in 2008? And if we're given a whole bunch of mortgages without checking backgrounds, without doing credit checks, and none of this kind of stuff to all these illegals that are coming in, it sounds like really shady, sketchy kind of mortgages to me, and that's what happened. That's what led up to 2008. By the way, if you don't know, is leading up into 2008, they were basically they would give a mortgage to anyone. Like they would do the riskiest mortgages to anyone, and Wall Street was buying up these mortgage-backed securities and playing the game with them, and that's what ended up causing the major crash of 2008 is all the fuckery with those mortgage-backed securities. I can't believe that these sketchy mortgages that are being made for the illegals are not going to be used in some kind of MBS situation. Wall Street can't help but put their little grubby little mitts on it. They're going to play with them. and it's going to be a bad scene.
And
It's
Ellie
gonna
brings
be-
up a
it's gonna
great
be-
point in the chat right now, Aaron, much to what you're saying. In Southern California, where Ellie lives, you can't even find a one-bedroom home, one bedroom, for less than 800 grand. We're talking about $750,000 for a one-bedroom home in the bluest state in the entire United States of America, because of the ridiculous policies that have been enacted by the Democrats in California that have led to a massive overvaluation of real estate, where the majority of people can't even afford to own a home. They can barely afford to rent an apartment or rent a condo or get a manufactured home, which is, a trailer, because of this ridiculous housing prices. And that's what we're looking at. That's what we're looking towards in the rest of America if we continue on the current path, to where the average home, one bedroom in the United States, is going to be $800,000 plus. And your income is not going to increase to match, as we've seen over the last 3.5 years under Biden Harris.
No, your income won't match it, and you're not going to get subsidized. You're not going to get a stipend or an extra. You're not going to get extra help with food. You're not going to get all this extra free health care and all this stuff. You've got to pay for your own health care. You've got to pay for your own food. You've got to pay your own rent or mortgage payments and all of these kind of things. You've got to pay your own stuff. These guys they're stealing our money. They are absolutely stealing our money, and the government's enabling them to do it. That's the bottom line. Our current administration is giving our money and our value. The value is really the biggest part of this. It's not just directly our money. They're giving the value of our money. If I had 100 grand in cash in my hands right here, it continuing along the path that they are going, by the time if they were to get reelected and still have control come 2025, by the end of 2025, this 100 grand in my hand would only buy 50,000 worth of stuff.
This is true.
Really think about that. Really think about what that means for you and your family. Like, how important is that? When you hear rhetoric like we need to vote like our country depends on it, it absolutely does. There is no doubt in my mind that we cannot sustain 4 more years of what we have now. We
I'm
cannot,
shocked.
as a country.
I'm
Hey.
shocked we've made it this far, man. To be honest with you, but it's directly reflected in the American savings accounts. The savings rate
Oh yeah.
of Americans is at all-time lows. It's under 2.9%, and the amount of money in American savings account has dwindled to lows that we have never seen before in the entire 300 plus years of the United States. Do you think that that's by accident, or do you think that it's by design? Because it's definitely by design, brother.
There's no accidents. You can nothing is by accident. There is no such thing as, oh, whoops, we let in 20 million illegal aliens. See, sorry about that. I had no idea. I was sitting at my desk
Damn it.
and I was like, what does this button do? Boop, I pushed it. And all of a sudden, there's 20 million illegal aliens in here. I didn't know that, like, that. Who knew what that button was on the presidential? I thought it was a nuke. I was pushing. I thought I was launching a nuke. It wasn't. It was aliens.
It's
There is
aliens.
no accidents. There never is, and there never ever will be. No, we really need to take this seriously. We cannot sustain 4 more years of this, and I think that that's what makes Cash and Capital, our podcast here, different than a lot of other ones. Is that we're not afraid to talk about topics that are important and get information out that is important. It is hugely important that people are educated and understand exactly what is really happening out there, not what the media is feeding us, not what the politicians are feeding us. And when I say politicians, I mean both sides, because there's shitty
Both
people
sides of the
everywhere.
aisle. Exactly.
It's come down to literally this: we are the news now. We are the news. People like Marcel and myself, and there's so many others out there, and even you, everybody that's watching. If you go and you talk to one person and you talk about something we talked about, or you show them, hey, check this out. Look at this. Can you believe that they're getting this? If you spread that information out, you're also part of the news now. That's what the Constitution guarantees: freedom of the press. Do you know why? They guarantee freedom of the press because the press is supposed to keep our government in check, and they're not doing their job. That's what they don't deserve the freedom of the press that's guaranteed in the Constitution right now, because they're not earning it. We are. Marcel is, I am. And do you know why we're doing it? Because of our families. He's doing it because of that little girl that's sitting in his lap right there.
She
He
went and
wants a
got her
better life.
headphones just to be part of this live stream with us, bro. Go ahead.
He is doing it for her so she can have a better life, and her kid can have a better life, because we cannot continue the way we're going now. We cannot. And we need to make sure that people are educated and understand exactly what it is they are voting for. What are you really voting for? And you need to understand that that is what's on the ballot this November. That is what's on the ballot. The future of our country is on the ballot this November. It's very, very important that you understand the issues. And we're going to keep talking about them. And nobody's going to stop us from talking about them. Isn't that right,
It's
Marcel?
imperative. It's imperative. Say hi, Kelsey. That was very unenthusiastic. But Aaron's absolutely right. We need to do something, you guys. And sitting around, not sitting around and just complaining quietly amongst each other is not doing it, right? Share it. Drop a like for the stream. Share it with somebody you love, somebody you know that you think needs to learn about this stuff, because it's all over the news right now. But you're only going to hear key things on the news. You're not going to hear all the information, the in-depth detail from Aaron, the personal experiences from myself as a former real estate broker and a business owner. We both own multiple businesses here and have experience as entrepreneurs lifelong, doing things that the majority of people could never do. Not because they're not smart enough, but because they are unwilling to take the risk, or a variety of other reasons, right? But the fact of the matter is here that it takes a certain kind of person to go out of their way to speak up. Be one of those people. Speak up, share this with others, because you're not the one saying the words. We're saying the words. So if somebody disagrees with you, they're just going to look at it as a video, you're not associated with. So if they want to think we're idiots for putting out the truth there that may be too polarizing for them to admit, that's fine. So do us a favor, share with someone you love and care about. Subscribe if you want to see more, because we will be back next week with another hot topic. Cheers, Aaron. Thank you very much, my brother. You are amazing. Anything else you want to wrap up with?
No, that's it. We need to make sure we keep spreading the word, and like Marcel was saying, it's really important. Make sure it's so cliche. Smash the like button, hit the subscribe. I hate saying it, but it is important, because we do need to spread the word out there, and that's how you do it. Is we got to make sure we're
Exactly.
taking advantage of the algorithms. So please hit the like button, hit the thumbs up, subscribe, hit the bell if you want to get notifications. Of course, follow our Twitter, which is Cash and Capital, or Cash and Capital on YouTube, Cash and Capital on Rumble. We've got multiple vectors of attack. Multiple vectors of attack. So we're safe. If one of our channels happens to get nuked, we're good. We got plenty of ways to do this. So please join us again next week. And it's always great having everybody aboard for the lives, and everybody that watches on the replay. We appreciate you all. Make sure you spread that information out. It's important.